In this video, we're going to talk about the truth about good posture. Last month, we got an email from one of our viewers and email list subscribers, James. He's in the UK, and he got an email from us that was talking about the upcoming posture clinic that we're having in the Bay Area in July of this year, 2019. And he had questions that I think are very valid and that a lot of people wrestle with and sometimes get really crappy answers to. So I wanted to give you the answers from our perspective here at Upright Health. So first question is, would you link static posture to movement capacity? Static posture just means your resting position, right? So like if you were standing and you are just not thinking about your posture, are you slumped? Do you stand up straight and tall, shoulders back? Do your shoulders hunch forward? Do your ears hang low? Do they wobble to and fro? All those things are part and parcel of what static posture is. Movement capacity is what they're capable of doing. Are they able to do pull-ups? Are they able to bend over and grab a heavy object off the floor? Are they able to do 100 jumping jacks or whatever the movement metric is that you want to use? Can you look at somebody in their static posture and say that that is related to movement capacity, or that can tell you everything you need to know about somebody's movement capacity? And the answer is no, it is not a one-to-one correlation. You can't say that that person who stands perfectly straight and tall is going to be able to do everything that I'm imagining, right? It's not a one-to-one correlation. A static posture assessment gives you an idea of some things that somebody is probably going to be better or worse at. So, for example, if you're somebody who's always stuck in a hunchback, then it's going to be a fairly high chance that you're not going to be good at, say, like going into like a back bridge or something like that. Your spinal extension in your upper back, your spinal extension in your lower back, also your shoulder mobility, are probably not going to be good enough to handle going into a back bridge, right? Likewise, you might have trouble executing a squat properly because you feel like you're not balanced because you're not. You may even find it difficult to breathe. So that static posture is indicative of where some challenges might be, but it's also possible that you just happen to be a gymnast who maybe has some self-confidence issues and you're just always in a slouch, but then you actually have amazing back bending capability and spinal extension, and you can do what I just did, but like 100 times better. It's totally possible. You just cannot rely on only a static posture assessment. You have to be looking and testing many different movements if you want to know about somebody's movement capacity. The next question is, would you be happy if a client could adapt many different postures rather than say that one posture is better than another? I've seen this when I was training at the Rolf Institute, when I was just really diving into posture information, probably about 10 or 11 years ago. And when I saw this for the first times in my career, I was like, wait, this is messing up my brain, because you can see people who stand perfectly well, and I had been trained to think, well, if they stand perfectly well, then they're probably going to feel well, good, etc., whatever adverb.
This is your brain. This is drugs.
They didn't, right? I would see people who stood just like really nice and straight and tall, everything was great, but then, their knees hurt, the shoulder hurts, they can't run, they feel like their back hurts when they lift stuff up. Like, there's all these other things. You have to realize that every activity, every position you go into requires you to adopt a certain posture. You're in a position, that is your posture. So if I need to go lift something up and this is the posture that I'm in, it's not that posture is in itself inherently bad evil or indicative of poor moral constitution. What it is maybe riskier because your muscles are not able to work in a way that is going to feel stable and secure unless you've really trained it well. We don't want to say you can't ever go into that bad posture, right? We want you to be able to go into many different positions safely. So for me personally, I played ice hockey and roller hockey as a goalie for many, many years. And there are plenty of postures and positions that you're in when you're playing that sport that are not ideal. Stuck in a crouch for, 90 seconds, 2 minutes at a time, and then start moving around and sliding around on your knees and doing all these things. Those are not great if you are not conditioned for them, if you haven't practiced them, or if you've over-practiced and over-trained certain positions, right? So it's about finding a balance of frequency. It's about a balance of the intensity with which you're doing things, and it's also about being able to get in and out of different positions safely and effectively so that you always feel confident, assured, and comfortable, and you're not injured all the time, right? So to answer James' question quickly, yeah, you should be able to adopt many different postures rather than just one posture. So James's final question was, is there such a thing as ideal posture? And that, I think you can gather from what I've said before, is sort of. There is an ideal posture given the requirements that you're placing on the person, right? Or the desires or expectations. If I want my body to feel as good as possible, if I want to be able to react to a variety of situations and stimuli easily and powerfully, then there is probably an ideal posture that I want to have my body in so that I can do all those things. If I want to have a position that requires little energy expenditure to use a computer for 16 hours a day, there is probably an ideal posture, and it looks like a hunch and slump. But that may be ideal for computing, but it won't be ideal for feeling confident, feeling capable, feeling athletic. In the same way, there's an ideal posture for doing a handstand. There's an ideal posture for doing a squat in powerlifting, and there's also an ideal posture for doing a squat if you are an Olympic lifter. If it's a front squat or a back squat, if you are somebody who's picking up a box, there's going to be some kind of ideal posture that works really well for that specific context. But when we're standing on our feet, we can usually adopt all kinds of postures, positions that are non-ideal, that are not actually efficient, that cause us to compensate in all kinds of ways, but we don't fall over. And we don't get any strong immediate feedback usually until over time our bodies start to really complain about things. So when you're a teenager and you're doing it, you probably don't feel it, but as you get older and you start to really optimize for just overall life and being able to breathe and rest, relax, think clearly, that's when you start having to look at these things. And then if you start thinking, well, I want to be able to lift my arms overhead, I want to be able to press some weight overhead, or I want to be able to do a cartwheel, or I want to do anything, then you need to think, well, does the fact that my body always adopts crappy positions affect my ability to later do the things I want to do? And in that case, the answer is yes, right? So ideal posture, yes, but understand the context, right? And don't get obsessed about just, well, you have to look this one way, at the expense of like locking down your body so that you can't do more creative and fun things with your body. And then bonus question is, what is the best exercise to prepare for Brexit? And I don't have an answer for that. I think it's probably burpees or maybe duck and cover. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this video. I hope it expands your mind and perspective on what good posture really is. If you want to join us for a live workshop, the Posture Clinic is happening in the Bay Area in July, so be sure to check out the description box for links to that and our other workshops. If you like the video, click the like button, hit the subscribe button, and as always, I hope you remember that pain sucks. Life shouldn't.
Every time.